What's going on, gamers? So we have a video here about the new PS5 Slim model that's screwing over people. We got some funny comments here to get into that has released for reduced storage. Yeah. Let's see what else did they do. Right here is the title of the new PS5 Slim is worse. This guy has a review on it. Man, it's blowing up. We're going to look into this, but I just want to get to some funny comments real quick because I think it's hilarious. This guy right here says, I never thought by buying a console at launch I would be saving money. Yeah, this is the generation, guys, where that happens. It's insane. Are we ready for the next comment? We're just going to read these two and we'll get to the video. Welcome to the era of pay way more for way less. But on that happy commercial, like you see those androids, right, on TV with the perfect white smile and all that. Oh man, that's funny. So yeah, guys, let's get into this and see what's going on.
It is time, my friends. This is a brand new revision of the PlayStation 5 Slim. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about here. So we have a little bit of a history, if you've seen the channel in the past. And Sony have actually been doing these sort of subtle revisions for a very long time, even back to like the PS2 and the PS3 era. But the problem with the PS5 era specifically is that on one hand, they're excitedly talking about how they're making more money than ever. And on the other, they continuously tweak, trim, and sort of water down the PlayStation 5 consoles, and they're not really getting any cheaper. So this is the new 2100 model. So we had to import this from Germany because it's being sold in Europe first. And let me just point your attention to a little detail here. This PS5 Slim has an 825 gigabyte SSD, but the PS5 Slim that they were shipping previously had a 1 terabyte drive. I like paying the exact same amount of money for 175 gigs less storage and whatever else is lurking inside.
He did that. Oh my God, I was literally thinking of that, guys. That is absolutely hilarious. We need a Fallout version of that, if you get what I mean. Like a meme for a thumbnail or something. That would just be great as a thumbnail. Gives me an idea. But yeah, I mean, it's like really, really Sony. And you know how ridiculous certain games are? Imagine the size of GTA 6 with multiplayer, with a Call of Duty game. Hell, there you go right there. So yeah, go buy my accessories and pay for more SSDs. It's kind of a market that works together. And their file decompression system is lazy on purpose so that these files can be ginormous. That's what Nintendo was calling out. At least their file decompression system is actually good. But Westerners, they do that on purpose so that you can go support those accessories.
Oh God, why is it in here so hard? There we go. So this specifically is the 2116 model of the PlayStation 5. So the 21 is just the new revision. All right, let's see what we've got. Luckily, they're still shipping you the little baby feet. All right, and we have ourselves the DualSense. So far, all pretty standard stuff. Holy, has it always been this thick? Oh, it's in German, that's why it's thicker. Because we purchased this in Germany, we paid 400 euro for it. Now, the retail price for it is 500 euro, which has been the same since I believe April of this year. Just, you know, minus a few gigabytes. It feels really light. I could be hallucinating, I'm not gonna lie, I could be hallucinating. Oh, whoa, 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 this is definitely different. It's matte now. Let me get out of the PS5 out. That's matte all the way around. I actually like that. What the hell did they do to my boy? So for context, on this side we have the original 2000 model of the PS5 Slim, so this is what launched 2 years ago, and this is the 2100. So looking at them side by side, I like the fact that it's matte instead of glossy. It looks a little cheaper. Gloss is gross and it just gets freaking dirty all over the place. And scratched up. So the ports are the same around front, so you still do have 2 USB-C as well as a power button. And the sides look oh wait, no, it's all, wait, it's all matte.
So they did change some aspects of it. Okay, it's not just a storage change. We're seeing this. Interesting.
With the original PS5 Slim, the bottom panel is matte, the top one's gloss. It is also matte across the boards. It's also really dumb, but they've actually changed the USB ports on the back. The original model, so this is the 2000, has blue USB 3.0. This has black. What that does tell me is that they've gone through the trouble of changing the color of the USB ports. They've also probably changed the motherboard. But as we found in the past, Sony are a big fan of taking a scalpel to the heatsink and making it smaller, and taking the motherboard and running it through the dryer for a little too long. So let's start by weighing both consoles. So this is the original launch PS5 Slim. So that comes in at 2556. And then we're gonna weigh the new 2100 model, and that comes in at 2,400 grams. Sony, you found another 100 grams to take out of my PlayStation. I also do have the original launch model of the PS5. That is almost 3.8 kilos. So for context, the launch model of the PS5 Slim is almost 50% heavier. Thinking about how much thicker and heavier it is, and it also has the exact same SSD. We went from 825 gigs up to, with the PS5 Slim, a terabyte SSD, and then back down. I think it's time to take a closer look at what's lurking inside the PS5 Slim 21.
That's interesting. You see how he said we started off that way, then we went up this way, and they jacked up prices along with the other consoles, and then they reverted back down again. Interesting stuff.
100.
But
Last time I lost 130 grams, I was in almost as much trouble as when I first said the PS5 Slim was worse.
Oh, I thought you were making a drug joke.
Thanks to our friends at Creative Electron, who are experts in X-ray technology, we're able to get a closer look on the inside of these PlayStations. So as I look at these images, a couple things jump out. They've definitely completely redesigned the heat pipe structure. So on the left here is the PS5 Slim, the original model. And you can see that there's this big heat pipe that starts sort of over here where I assume that's VRM. It kind of runs down, around, and over here. And then you've got 1, 2, 3 heat pipes on this side. Well, with the new one, you can see that the heat pipes look like there's no longer one that runs along the top, but then there's also less sort of down here. I also can immediately tell that if this is the VRM, 7 individual VRMs, there's only 5 on the new one. My initial impression is that it looks like they have streamlined the heatsink down. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. This has still 3 heat pipes, but they're much more spread out on the new one. This is a more subtle change than I was expecting. You know, in the past, we've opened these things up and they just chopped half the heatsink off. One thing I really want to highlight is just how much smaller the SSD is on the new PS5 Slim. So this is the 2025 model on this side. And even though on the box it says it's got an 825 gigabyte SSD, as far as usable storage, you only have 667 gigabytes.
You know what Sony's thinking about when they're doing this? They're thinking about Fortnite players, just one game, Call of Duty 2K or Madden GTA players, and that's it. You know, they just need that much because this is ridiculous considering how many games launch on that console a year. Dude, that's all you have left. Man, that's anti-consumer. I am not for that. That is not good. That's, wow.
Compare that with the older 2023 PS5 Slim, which has a 1 terabyte SSD, and this has 848 gigabytes, meaning that the older PS5 has a 27% larger SSD when it comes to actual usable space. So as is tradition at this point, we're going to be doing a little bit of power and thermal testing before we crack these consoles open. I will tell you that these numbers do not get much more similar than what we're seeing here. So the 2023 model is somewhere in the 216, 217 watt range, and the 2025 model is like 213 to 215 watts. That is absolutely margin of error stuff. I've tested the exact same PS5, like the same model and everything, sort of back to back, and you'll see a bigger swing than that. What this tells me is that power consumption wise, these two PS5 Slims are the same, which means that if the thermal solution is less performant on the new model, theoretically, it will be warmer because they're both dealing with the exact same amount of power and therefore heat. So for context, we're going to start with the 2023 model of the PS5 Slim. So we're saying that pretty much all of the heat is very much in this sort of range, which when you open it up, you'll see that that's pretty much where the actual fan is. But all the heat really should be in the back. So 2023 model looks like we're in the 65 to 67 range. All right, let's try with the 2025 model. So same kind of thing. The top of the actual PS5 is very, very cool. Pretty close. I don't know, man. It's up by a couple degrees. So I'm seeing like 68. I'll say that the new PS5 is pulling the same power. It is probably running something like 2 degrees warmer, but that's pretty minimal. But I'm curious to see what is going on the inside, because those X-ray images show that they definitely have done some reconfiguring, and there is like, what, 100 and something grams missing on this new model? Let's see what is lurking inside.
He's giving you full analysis and details to see everything. Interesting guy.
My friends.
I think this teardown's gonna take a while.
So we of course do still have compatibility with the disk drive. First glance, besides some weird like minor tweaks and a big old warning as well as a warranty void sticker to try to keep me out, God, it sounds terrible. Every time I'm just like, I am breaking this thing. That looks a little different. There's no more metal shroud holding the fan in. They've just replaced that metal with plastic.
You know what I like?
Oh my God, that's such a good catch. So they've got the PlayStation little symbols. So you've got a circle, you've got the triangle, the square, and the cross. All right, I'm actually totally okay with that. That's 100% fine. So as always, the fan is actually very modular, so you actually don't even have to open up the PS5 to pull it out. Oh, I can just feel it's lighter. So for comparison, the one on my left hand is the new fan. The one on my right hand is the old fan from the 2023 model. Anecdotally, I will say that the fan in the newer PS5 actually sounds a little bit better. Look at that, beautiful voided warranty. Okay, so we'll put our sort of mid shell on the side. Oh, that, we saw it in the X-ray. This heat pipe is interestingly configured. So many screws, dude. I'm like, every time I'm like, oh, I'm making good progress. Like, here's 5 more.
Great.
It's just full. This is too many screws for a PS5, man. I don't know. This just seems like slightly excessive. There ain't no iFixit guides yet, man. I gotta do this myself. Oh, there we go. There we
Professional.
go. That, my friends, is what the hell? Oh, they did change it, didn't they? Is it just me or is that copper very pink? So looking at the back of the motherboards here, so this is the 2023 on my right side and the 2025 on my left side. So you can see that they're very similar. So for example, the SSD still goes here, but even though they've got a heatsink in a similar kind of spot, the 2023 model kind of runs down over and then kind of comes underneath this little shroud. This one, the pipe stays on top the entire way. You can see there's also a lot more detail in the stamping. So I'm not gonna try to count those, but
That's better for that heat issue they were having if it got in the center. I know about that from the base PlayStation 5.
you can just see that it's definitely a little bit denser than it is here. For 2023, you can see that the heat pipes run sort of left to right above the APU.
Yeah.
They run sort of at a slight angle on the new model. I don't know why you would do that, but
That's kind of weird.
So this is actually like a more complicated heatsink design on this side. My guess is that this is where we're seeing some of the lack of weight. So looking at these two side by side, the thing that jumps out to me immediately is that the 2025 model looks like it's just a more refined design. It looks like they basically done more with less. And as we've seen from the results of the thermals and whatnot, it's pretty even when it comes to what the cooling is able to do. There we go, yeah. So there's nothing holding it in besides, I'm assuming, just globs of thermal paste. Oh my God, those sick f***s. There's one screw underneath the, there's one screw underneath the thing. All right, now my friends, behold the backside of our motherboard. What the Oops. Caught it. So looking around the back of the board, you'll see that you have your individual RAM modules. So these are all going to be on the back side of the SoC. Like we saw on the X-ray, you do see that there's reduced VRM. And over here, this is the thing that I'm most curious about, which is the SSD. What's really interesting here is that at least on the back side of the board, you'll see that there are 2 NAND modules for the SSD on the 2023 model, but there are 3 on the 2025, which doesn't make sense because why would you have more modules for a smaller SSD?
Well, you have less
Hidden
space.
Screw on me.
More?
Hey, we are in, my friends. Apologies, I made a little mess of removing the liquid metal on that guy. Don't worry about that part. So we can see that the SoC does look to be largely the same on this side. So what they've done is they've actually just moved some of the VRM. So it's on the back of the board on this side, and they've moved it to the top of the board, which should be fine. You also can see that you've got the 5 individual as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know if they're using older, cheaper NAND that they can get their hands on or what, but you wouldn't think that you would need more chips for a smaller SSD. Otherwise, it's actually very similar. So this is the back of the shell and the cooler for the 2025 model, which comes in at 472 grams. And the heatsink on the 2023 model, 493 grams. So we found 24 of our grams. Oh yeah, that's way lighter. That's 110 versus on the 2023 model where that's still attached, 170. So there's a much bigger difference between that. Oh, dude, that's why they did so much more stamping. This is actually thinner, I think. I can feel, it's not even like the actual, like the heatsink itself. I can feel it's actually just thinner metal. So on the 2023 model, it's about 1 millimeter thick steel. And on the 2025 model,
oh, dude,
it's like 0.5 millimeter thick steel. So that's where they've saved some of the weight. They use much more elaborate stamping. See, now this is good engineering. This is good engineering. They were able to take a design that was already working, and without making the console worse, is what I would say, if they didn't cut 27% of my SSD out of the console. The fact that this is able to give you essentially the exact same performance, the same thermals, the same power delivery, in a form factor that is, while the same on the outside, lighter weight, cheaper to manufacture, and equivalent in every other way is fantastic. Like, that is exactly what you should get with these little micro revisions, right? But then they threw it all away by taking 27% of my SSD. Essentially, they have saved themselves even more money, but they have taken none of that savings and passed it down to you. Instead, they have continued to raise the price, which some of that is due to global conditions, I understand, but they've continued to raise the price even in countries where the global conditions are maybe a little bit smoother. And importantly, they have chopped out 27% of my SSD. Now, I will eat all of my words and then some if, when they roll out this PS5 globally and they say, hell, by the way, it comes with a $50 price cut, sweet. But something tells me that that is not what they're about to do. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And
So there you guys go. You got the comparison between the new Slim, the old Slim, and then even the older launch model. And would it be worth it or not? No, of course not, because nobody wants to pay more for storage when you can just keep the same performance. I mean, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But obviously, everything is improved. Like you said, the weight is down in literally every category. You got to check out everything. So let me know what you guys think about this. Yeah, man, that sucks. Sony should have kept that storage, then that would have been pro-consumer. But instead, they're looking to penny pinch and make even more money off of their base after record profits and winning. I don't know what else to say. All right, y'all. Peace out. Have a great day. Ponies, sit down. Later, y'all.